are going live, and I want us to speak about the power of yes and. Um, Not only in authentic storytelling, in comedic storytelling, but when it comes to business as well. So I, for those of you who don't know, have spent the last 15 years working with billion-dollar brands to help them become funny. And I've recently decided that I am now on a mission and I have a vision to share the knowledge that I have used with billion-dollar brands to help them become hilarious with you guys. So this is a series in which I intend to do that. And today we are talking about the number one rule of improv comedy. For those of you who don't know what improv comedy is our ability to make something funny and magical and brilliant out of nothing. We all have the ability to improvise, but from the age of about 7 years old, we lose it. When the logical brain kicks in, or not necessarily lose it, but it diminishes a little bit. And the more logical we become, the further away we get from using this part of the brain. Now, the part of the brain that lights up when we improvise is the prefrontal cortex. It's the part of the brain that's responsible for creative flow, for prayer, for meditation, and the part of the brain that goes quiet when we are meditating, when we are improvising and meditating for that fact, is the part of the brain that is responsible for fear, for judgment, for imposter syndrome. It's the part of the brain that says, I'm not good enough, I can't do this, I'm unlovable, self-sabotage, self-sabotage. So this is why improv comedy in particular, and other forms of comedy, is the most essential, not even fantastic, it is the most essential tool in terms of business and authentic storytelling and comedic storytelling, because it really puts us in a place where we are able to operate from our creative genius, where we are able to operate from our comedic center, and where we're able to turn off the part of the brain that says, I'm not good enough, I'm not a professional comedian, I shouldn't be doing this. So what I want to speak about on today's live is how you can implement yes and in your lives and in your businesses. So the reason why yes and is the number one rule of improv comedy, of accessing our creative genius and our creative center, is it not only puts us into the affirmative, but it allows us to be open and receptive. So because we are in a state of agreement, and then we are adding and what comes next, we now are open to the story flowing and moving, and there being movement and something coming after the yes and. Whereas if we are in a space of negativity or in a space of no, the scene ends. There is no ability to move forward, to take action, to head in the right direction. Okay, so when we look at storytelling and comedic storytelling and authentic storytelling for business, I want you to start today by implementing these 2 words into your branding. And what I mean by that, if you are thinking of creating a brand that is lighthearted, that uses humor in its content and its advertising, that uses comedy to convert like crazy, you need to be implementing these 2 words, yes and, because it allows us to be open and receptive to what is to come. So I want to give you an example of, if I ask you a question and you say no to that question, we're done. We're done with the conversation. There's no way for it to flow. But if you keep saying yes and, in your messaging, yes, and in your storytelling. Now we've got flow. So this is not only the most creative, effective way to master brainstorming and creativity, but also comedic storytelling. Because now what we're able to do is we're able to say, okay, the first thing to do is to understand the context of our ideal customer, the context of our the context of where they are at, what they are thinking, what their pain points are, okay, where they currently are, and what problem are we solving through our business, whether it is a product, a SaaS service. So if you're in e-commerce, if you're in the service industry, it doesn't matter. We need to get into the heads of our ideal customers. We need to get them, we need to speak their language. We need to get them laughing. And that is how we create adoring fans that keep coming back for more. And the best, easiest, most effective entry point to get thinking like our customers is to start asking questions and yes-anding the context of our client. So let me give you an example of what I mean by yes-anding. I want you to go and research. If you do not already know who your ideal avatar is, who your target market is, I want you to go and research now. This is the most important thing, to know who your ideal market is and what problem are you solving for them. And once you know that, the way to get into their head is to start asking questions about what is the biggest thing, what is the biggest challenge they are facing now? What is the biggest challenge they are currently experiencing in their business? Okay, or not necessarily in their business, whatever problem you're solving for them, but what is the biggest problem, biggest challenge they are facing in the area or the problem you are solving for them? Once you know that problem, you are able to say yes and to that problem, include it in your content, include it in your marketing, highlight the pain point that they have, and exaggerate. And we exaggerate by yes anding. Okay, so for example, I made content. I partnered with Pangela South Africa, which is a security group, and I saw that this security group, their target market were women like me, who had to get security for their families and alarm system, and had to who wanted to protect their family. So their biggest pain point was feeling unprotected and feeling unsafe. So knowing that, I could say yes and to the context of these women feeling unsafe. I then could brainstorm loads of ideas around what are situations where these women are feeling unsafe. Okay, so I could yes and their story. And then after I yes and, I exaggerate. I take it to the next level, which is what comedy is. Comedy is an exaggeration. It's a heightening. It's a increasing the awkward. And what I did in that situation was I said, I'm the ideal target market. What if I become the protection? What if I yes and the context of me taking matters into my own hands and becoming the security guard? And then I heightened the situation by flipping the situation on its head. So me becoming the security guard, and obviously I was terrible. So heightening the situation by making me the security guard who was terrible at doing security. And that's where we found the funny. So the process of hacking the idea and implementing yes and is really, really simple. Anybody can do it. It is completely effective, and it is the quickest, easiest way to add comedy into your content that will convert like crazy. So today's power session was all about how to implement yes and into your brand to find the funny. If you guys want to explore more and you guys want to know how to create comedic content that converts like crazy, I want you to go and get my comedy cash flow formula. And in that formula, in that mini course, I will take you step by step to get started in how to implement comedy into your content, how to implement comedy into your branding, because what we've figured out and what we've discovered is that clients, customers are 72% more likely to buy from a brand that is funny. This is why these corporates paid me the big bucks to teach them this stuff, because it is so incredibly effective in creating community. So comedy for community, in creating authenticity, in creating content that and a brand that converts. So I want you to go and get the Comedy Cashflow Formula, and you can start implementing it today. As a bonus, I have also included a script that you can use, and you can update according to your niche, your industry, where you can reach out to brands and say, this is the sort of content that I'm producing. I'd love to work with you, etc., etc. So I have a script there on how to reach out and collaborate with big brands, and how you can get started on creating content that allows you to collaborate with major brands, allows you to sell, and allows you to impact the lives of your customers and create adoring fans who keep coming back for more. Angel Doves, I am going to see you on Monday. Remember to stay hilarious.